There's a lot of very interesting comments on YouTube today. Michelle Roberts says the court found the Home Secretary's decision on Shamima Begum was lawful. What don't you understand? Nothing unlawful. It's no good saying you're not sure it was legal. The court said it was. I'm not sure it was moral, and I'm not sure it should have been legal. Law can change. Morality tends to be a little bit more certain, a little bit clearer, a little bit more stable. Law is a formal system of rules created and enforced by governments to regulate behaviour, to resolve disputes. Laws are codified, institutionally upheld, backed by legal consequences such as fines or imprisonment. Morality, on the other hand, refers to a personal and social notion of right and wrong, often shaped by culture, by religion, by philosophical principles. Morality lacks formal enforcement, is more fluid from that point of view, but is driven by a collective conscience rather than state power, and therefore tends to be more stable. Morality evolves as societies develop new ethical frameworks, often influenced by changing social attitudes or technological processes and progress. For example, slavery was once widely accepted and justified as morally permissible in many societies. Today it's universally condemned, and yet we have more slavery today than at the height of the transatlantic slave trade. LGBTQ plus rights have undergone profound moral re-evaluation. Homosexuality was deemed immoral in many cultures, but is now celebrated in numerous countries through pride events. Law follows morality, but often lags behind, requiring formal processes to institutionalise the changes in society. For example, the UK decriminalised homosexuality in 1967, years after social attitudes began to shift, and women's suffrage in the early 20th century followed decades of moral and political agitation and outrage. But laws can also shape morality, as legal prohibitions and endorsements nudge social norms. For example, the anti-smoking laws in public spaces have reshaped views on smoking as socially unacceptable. The other problem is, of course, that laws change from one country to another. So, for example, in one country people drive on the right, in the other country they drive on the left, and so on. And so thinking that your morality is alone sufficient and driving on the wrong side of the road, not only will you be a danger to yourself, but you will be a danger to others. Under the Illegal Migration Act 2023, migrants arriving in the UK without prior authorisation, in other words, crossing the English Channel in small boats, are now considered to have entered illegally, and these individuals are branded as illegal migrants, denied asylum, detained, and face deportation to safe third countries like Rwanda. These laws still exist. They're still on the statute book, no matter whether Keir Starmer says he's not going to follow up the Rwanda part of this process. The law reflects a moral argument, protecting national sovereignty and deterring unsafe crossings. However, critics would argue, and I am one of them, that it's a moral failure, ignoring humanitarian obligations, and it's a legal oddity to have defined something in a national way which is an international issue. So in Britain, an illegal migrant is now a different legal statement than it would be in France. France applies EU asylum rules focused on whether a migrant is entitled to international protection under conventions like the Dublin Regulation. An unauthorised entry is not a criminal offence per se. Instead, it's viewed administratively, often resulting in detention and deportation, but with greater legal recourse to challenge decisions. France takes a more humanitarian stance, shaped by its post-war moral framework of welcoming refugees, as indeed Britain used to until Suella Braverman got her feet under the dispatch box, though this is increasingly contested. The key difference here is that in the UK, entering illegally now results in an outright ban and bar to asylum, or at least that is the law. If Starmer wishes to relax that law, that's another matter, but the law stands until it's repealed, while France allows for asylum claims even after irregular entry in following the principles and the understanding, the international understanding of the 1951 Refugee Convention. There are broader examples of divergence in law and morality. In Ireland, until 2018, abortion was illegal because of strong religious morality enshrined in law. Its legalization followed a national referendum reflecting shifting social values. In Poland, abortion remains heavily restricted because of religious and political influence, contrasting with most other EU nations' liberal laws. In the Netherlands, euthanasia is legalised under strict conditions, reflecting a moral stance that prioritises individual autonomy and relief from suffering. In the UK, the assisted dying bill is still going through the system, and assisted dying remains illegal, tied to moral concerns about the sanctity of life. In the USA, same-sex marriage was legalized nationwide in 2015 after years of moral debates and state-level variations. In Saudi Arabia, homosexuality is illegal, with harsh penalties reflecting a morality rooted in conservative interpretations of religion. Law and morality are interwoven, but they're not identical. And while morality serves as a compass for social values, laws institutionalize those values within a specific legal framework. And to abandon the law or to interpret the law in a way that is convenient to the state it sets a precedent. That precedent was set by the Shamima Begum issue and is now further developed by the by the Al Assad issue. And the evolution of law shows how social norms shift, but the divergence across countries shaped by culture, history and politics illustrates the relativity of both law and morality. The definition of an illegal migrant is a compelling case study for this interplay where moral perspectives on sovereignty, safety, human rights shape legal interpretations differently across nations. And as societies grapple with globalization, technology, evolving values, the dynamic between law and morality, and the need to try to universalize our legal systems should become a cornerstone of public debate and should be something that we are striving towards rather than away from. It makes no sense to have a law in France, and as you cross the channel, that law changes dramatically to something different, particularly when those laws are rooted in morality and not simply the vagaries of the transport system, whether you drive on the left or the right. There are if we are all signatories to the 1951 Refugee Convention, then we should all follow that. And if we have a lax and a casual understanding of what is and what is not a citizen in our country, then I'm afraid we are following a very, very dodgy path to chaos.